Holy smokes, ladies, we've got NHL 18 details to discuss. Alright, so today's video is going to be all about just that. I'm going to go in detail over what's new and what to expect for NHL 18, all in one convenient video. So guys, let's dig in. I'm No Sleeves 12, and this is NHL 18. So guys, now that the NHL Awards has come and gone, we've gotten our first full look at NHL 18. So there's a lot of things that we do need to talk about today. There's new gameplay as far as the skill sticks are concerned. They're making a comeback, as well as the new expansion mode inside Be a GM, which does look quite promising. There's also NHL 3s, and I'm going to give you my points and thoughts on that game mode specifically. Another really exciting thing is the new upgraded AI that apparently is a lot smarter, and they've listened to a lot of fans, rejection of how bad the AI has been in previous years past, and they've really focused on that. So let's start with the new skill sticks. So let's start with the new defensive skill stick. I play defense in League, as you know, so I've gotten a little bit more used to playing defense, and I really think that this could be a very big positive as far as playing defense or even just defending in NHL 18, and here's why. So as it stands right now, the only real control you have over your stick on defense is essentially L1 to crouch, block, or poke, or the dive out. You really don't have anything that you can do. You have to use your body to essentially block passes and things like that. With a new defensive skill stick, what they're essentially doing is separating the skates from your stick. So picture right if you want to grab your controller, it makes it a little bit easier for you, but your left thumbstick is essentially your skates and your right is now your stick entirely. What it is right now is your body is more what your right thumbstick is controlled by. So you control your hits and things like that. You can't really do anything with your stick specifically. It's more controlled by where you are and what other positions like poke checking and things like that. Now, what I'm guessing is because hitting is still controlled by the right thumbstick, what I'm guessing is you have to hold R1, and then if you swing from left to right with the stick, right thumbstick, it's going to make a forward and back motion, like you're covering a pass in real hockey, which I think is a very, very good inclusion in this game because it will add a more sense of realism to the game on defense specifically. If you can control 2-on-1s, and you have your stick, then you're actively able to use your stick, or what's called an active stick, to defend passes. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for the forward. They're going to have to be more creative, and which leads me to my next point. So the new deking system, we're going to get into that. So now let's talk about the creative attack deeks, as they're calling it. Essentially what it's allowing us to do now is every single creative thing that you can do with a hockey stick in real NHL or just in hockey in general, you can now do in the game, which I think is amazing. Another key thing that I think is amazing is that there are going to be moves that will allow you to keep your same speed. A big problem with the deking system in NHL 17 is that when you do some of these dekes that they try to incorporate into the game, it kills your speed and momentum a lot of the time. Even when the motion in real life, it wouldn't really stop you or slow you down. What they're really focusing on here is that there are some moves in dekes that will allow you to keep your speed, which will allow for much more creativity, especially on the rush and things like that. It makes good players a lot more dangerous, but it could also make you a lot more dangerous, in one-on-ones and things like that. I think that people are really going to have to get good with the defensive skill stick to stop these new dekes that are allowed to do, such as the one-handed Jokinen or the Datsuk deke that you guys have all seen. Those are going to be a lot more prominent in this game, which I think is cool. It makes it a lot more fun, and it also allows you to get a lot more creative, because as it stands right now, there's only 2 or 3 that really from off the top of my head, holding forehand deke and dragging it behind you and between your legs, that motion in this game currently kind of gives you a little speed boost after you've done the deke, and you'll see a lot of good players do it, and it's kind of harder to defend. But I think that what these new moves will allow you to do is get a lot more creative and not stop your momentum so much. So you're going to see a lot more than just the classic, slide down the boards and hope to get by kind of stuff, which makes the game a lot more fun. So I think this is a great, a great thing to include in this year's game. Up next is the creative AI. Here's my first point on this and why I don't think that everyone should get so hyped up about it. If you think the only situation where the AI, being smarter and whatnot, assists you is when you're playing EA Sports Hockey League, which everyone does, and it's not sixes. Now, I don't really play any mode where it's not sixes. I mean, if you're playing with your buddies and whatnot, this is where this is going to shine. But other than that, you're not really going to notice it too much. I don't think. I think that it's going to make it more difficult in in offline modes where you're playing the computer and things like that. Or if you're position lock, I think that you could benefit a lot too. Now, a lot of people will take a lot of heat if they position lock, and I don't blame them. But that is where I'm going to where I think you're going to see the biggest difference with this inclusion of AI being a lot more intelligent. So, from my understanding, the developers of the game this year have taken all of the heat, essentially, of how, when you call for a pass in the EA Sports Hockey League and things like that, they'll pass behind you or not even pass at all or things like that. What the creative AI in NHL 18 is going to do is it'll read your breakout, actually, and they'll fire pucks off the boards to you and things like that, where it's not those stupid, where your defense where your defense is carrying the puck into the zone and they'll stop at the blue line because they have no idea what to do. Things that happen a lot more in club where you're not playing sixes. So I think that overall EA Sports Hockey League as a whole will benefit from this because not everyone can play sixes, and I totally understand that. I didn't play sixes for the longest time. So when you're just playing with your buddies and things like that, you're going to see a lot better gameplay with the creative AI and anything that isn't sixes. But outside of that, you really don't control the AI at all. As far as offensively, in Versus and Hut, you don't really control the AI. I'll be curious to see how the creative AI works with defensive positioning and things like that, like your strategies, to see how that's affected. It hasn't really been mentioned as far as defense and things like that, but offensively, I guess they've really put a focus on making sure they don't make those idiot outlet passes or things like that. So it is good for that sense, but it's not something I think that everyone needs to get super pumped up about because it's only really going to pertain to one area of the game. And if that is the area of the game that you play, then totally you should be stoked about it. But that's all you're really going to see it in is EA Sports Hockey League, where you're not playing sixes. Now here's a feature I think a lot of people are going to overlook that I'm, as a content creator, am super excited for. My last 6 months of making content for NHL, when I started out, I tried to find a way to separate my stuff from everyone else's. You can only show someone how to score with the same goals, so many times before, you go to another YouTuber's channel and you're really just seeing the same kind of stuff. In my how to play defense video, my how to score videos, and my settings videos, I try to show you guys and explain to you why you should do these things from a hockey perspective, because when you watch enough hockey, I've watched thousands of games probably over the course of my life, as well as played. So when showing you guys how the people that haven't played hockey in real life, you have I don't want to say a disadvantage over people that have, but it's kind of true, especially on defense. The hockey training camp feature in NHL 18 is going to allow you to go in to be a pro, and it's going to show you the basics and actually have some video coaching and things like that. That part of the game out in depth hasn't really been explained, but from what I see here, I am pretty excited to see what they can show and teach you guys, because a lot of people are just going to overlook it because it's a tutorial. I totally wouldn't. I'm excited to dive into this, again, from a content creator's perspective, but I think that trying to teach you guys how to play D, or why goals are scored certain ways and why you should defend certain ways in this game, is much more important than showing you why a glitch goal works or how exactly to score a glitch goal. Like, I think it is more important to show you guys where to defend and where to stand and why this play opened up, than to show you guys, skate in just to the hash marks, curl in a little bit right before the face-off dot and shoot top corner, and that's going to go in. I think it's much more beneficial to everyone to learn the game a little bit more in depth, and I am really excited for the hockey training camp. Alright guys, so what the most amped the community got about at the reveal trailer was 3-on-3, so NHL 18 threes is what they're calling it. a bunch of different ways to play it. If you guys remember, I don't know if you do, I believe in NHL 14 or 15, I want to say 14, there was that 3-on-3 arcade style thing. This is a little bit more realistic than that. That was hilarious if you guys haven't ever played that before, but it's a little bit more realistic. So essentially what it is in a nutshell is you play 3-on-3. There's no offsides, there's no icings. Penalties you take instantly send to the opposing player to center ice for a penalty shot. It's basically just chaos. The rink is a little bit smaller, so it's going to be a ton of fun. For sure. Now, there's a few different ways to play it. There's the single-player campaign, where essentially you go against other teams and beat other teams, and you essentially get to a region's boss, where you play them, and it'll give you cards and players and jerseys and things like that, which is totally cool. You can also then play online, again competitively, where you can have a buddy on the couch with you and someone else online somewhere else to play. So it's really in cooperative, how they've done it this year, where you can have all of your buddies play. Now, when it comes to competitive, what I want to bring everyone's attention is that the people that play competitive, especially at club and things like that, it's not going to be for them, because I have a feeling that this game it has a lot of exploits, possibly. And what I mean by that is, you guys all know, like, behind the net, you slap shot and line change in hut, and, you instantly have a breakaway, those kinds of things. Now, this isn't as serious, but there is potential for that. I could see a lot of things where people, play at other people's net, essentially, and it's basically just two teams icing the puck consistently, which, again, this game is perfect for what it is, but you need to take it for what it is. The competitive aspect of it, it's just going to be straight chaos, which it should be. But I have a feeling that people are going to look for it to be, a lot more competitive, like 3-on-3 EA Sports Hockey League competitive, and that's totally not what this is going to be. Think more like Crash Ice kind of thing, where it's just like essentially what it is, just chaos, which I think this is needed to be in the game, something like this, because it does make it a lot, give you a fun kind of laid back game mode where you don't want to play a sweaty versus or hut game or a sixes in club, and this will, allow you an alternative. And it does have an offline mode campaign, which I do think is kind of cool, because a lot of players don't play online. So the campaign mode does offer a lot. So I am excited about this game mode, but I do think that the competitive players in NHL are going to not play this as much as maybe they think they will, just because it's not nearly as realistic, obviously, as the real game. So, lastly, as far as gameplay goes, I want to talk about the new expansion mode in NHL. So essentially, in Be a GM mode, what you can do is go through exactly what Vegas just did. I think that they took all the hype and all of the awesome, experience that happened over this last year, because, a lot of people that play this game now, millennials, essentially. I was only 9 when Nashville and, Minnesota and Columbus and the Thrashers all came in, and I barely remember. I had to look back to see how it actually happened. So now that everyone that plays NHL got to experience an expansion of their own, they're putting it into the game, and in a lot more detail. They have almost wanted you to push you to make a 30-second franchise. So what you're able to do now is you get to make your own, venue where you want to play. If you want to open up a franchise in Sweden or Finland, you can do that. You also get to create your own mascot, jerseys, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you also want to make it a little bit more even, because there's 31 teams, obviously, in the NHL, which is, unbalanced still. So what you can do is actually set a new franchise to come in, and if you're playing a franchise that's already exists, you can actually then set your protected keepers and whatnot, like they did in the real NHL this year, which I think is super cool, and I think it's going to be a lot more fun. I got away from GM mode for a while, especially this game. In the past years of NHL, that's pretty much all I've done before becoming a content creator and getting kind of more competitive into versus and things like that. I spent hundreds of hours each game playing on GM mode, and something like this is kind of exciting because it looks like they've done it very, very in depth, and it's because they kind of had a trial run with how Vegas was done, so they got to see the real ins and outs of it. Now, this all means nothing if they don't fix the new scouting system in NHL, because it's the worst of all of the pro sports video games. They don't really they really need to adjust that, and until that's fixed, I think BGM mode will kind of always not fall by the wayside, but definitely be the worst of, like, MLB The Show and Madden have very, very good scouting and developing players aspects to them, and I think the NHL needs to have that introduced as well. Now, I don't know if they haven't really mentioned it, so it'll be interesting to see, but the expansion process does look very exciting. And to end the video, guys, I want to discuss the 3 additions that NHL did come out with for this game. So let's start with the standard edition. It's going to be for $79.99, and it's released on September 15th. Essentially, what you're going to get with this edition is you're going to get 5 gold packs for your HUT team and the base game. That's pretty much it. I would recommend, if you don't play HUT, or maybe even if you just want to start out, I would definitely get this edition, because the other editions are a little bit more expensive and they're 100% HUT based, and that's because that's how EA Sports makes money off NHL is you guys buying packs and whatnot. So obviously they're going to tailor to that more than any other game mode. So again, guys, if you don't play HUT, I would avoid any of the other editions other than standard. So the Young Stars edition, that one comes in at $99, and essentially that's going to be available to you September 12th. It's 3 days early access, which is cool. Again, not a not a a deal breaker for anyone. But if you are a content creator like myself and I want to get videos out to you ASAP, it's obviously something that pertains to myself. So I'll be going with one of these editions because they do have the 3 days early access. Now, what you're also going to get with the $99 Young Stars edition is 20 gold plus packs. Now, that doesn't come right when you open up the game. Essentially, what you're going to get is a pack a week every Sunday for 20 weeks. Now, what you need to realize is that if you miss a Sunday and you don't sign on to get your pack, it doesn't stack up. So if you don't play this game throughout the year, it might not be your best value to pay a little bit extra money. $20 for 20 gold packs is worth it. You're going to end up spending more money if you go the standard route and just buy packs and whatnot throughout the year. If you know you're going to do that, then definitely go the Young Stars or Young Stars Deluxe, but they don't stack up. So every Sunday you got to sign in, get your pack, sign off, and just keep going. Now you're also going to get a McDavid rookie HUT player item, which is cool. Again, just another card to start out. It's probably going to be replaceable after the first week of you playing the game. A McDavid Adidas custom HUT jersey. Now, this is kind of cool because I don't know how the jerseys are going to work in HUT, but from what I've seen online is that there is potentially a custom jersey editor in HUT, which I think is awesome. And I think that there's going to be palettes that you'll unlock either by challenges or by finding them in the store or the auction house, that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of cool, as well as the McDavid EA Sports Hockey League celebration. Another really cool inclusion in this game. And another great item, the last one, is one rookie HUT player item from your favorite NHL team. Now, I don't know if that includes past players, but I'm a Sharks fan, so what I would suspect is that it's maybe a Joe Pavelski rookie card. Again, something that you get to plug into your team from day one. Going to give you a little bit of an early advantage in Hockey Ultimate Team, but going to be replaceable very quickly. So, lastly is the Young Stars edition. It's for $120. Again, you get that 3-day early access on September 12th. It's going to give you 40 gold plus packs. So essentially for $40 extra from the standard edition, you're going to get 40 packs, which I guess which is worth it, because that'd be $1 a pack. You're definitely getting your value there. It works the same. Every Sunday, you get 2 packs every Sunday. As far as all the other things, you get the same with the Young Stars. The only difference between the Young Stars and Young Stars Deluxe is that every Sunday, you're going to get 2 packs instead of 1 for that extra $20. Now, if you play HUT a lot, definitely go with the Young Stars Deluxe throughout the year. But if you don't, Standard is going to do just fine. And if you want to buy a few packs throughout the year, go ahead. You will waste a little bit of money because you could have saved it by getting the Young Stars Edition. But you don't get all of these packs up front. So I can totally see why it's really a smart business plan from EA to do this, because it keeps you in the game long enough. But again, you're not really going to benefit right at the beginning of the game. So, all right, guys, so that was NHL 18. Leave your comments in below if I've missed anything or you want to discuss. I'm going to have another video out every Sunday throughout the summer talking about NHL 18, talking about League Gaming and HUT and whatnot all throughout the year. Also, follow me on Twitch. I'm almost at my 1,000 follower on Twitch, which is a big milestone for me. So it's the links are all down below, and hit me up on Twitter. All right, guys, stay average.